Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Time with Guildmaster Gaming. Today we have a different setup. We have a feature film director, David Michael Yohe. I guess just Dave Yohe is what you usually go by. And we got a film that he did, The DÄMON. Some people want to try to pronounce it Damon, but I guess either one works. So, Dave, please tell us about yourself and your film.
Well, first of all, I'm a co-director, so I got to throw that out real quick too. Is that Matt Davino, who is also the co-writer and co-director of this, couldn't be here because he has a brand new baby, and she's beautiful, and I'm very happy for him. But he's on full-time dad duty right now, so that's that. And regarding the movie, yeah, the Daemon, I've heard both. It's an antiquated way to spell demon, so both are acceptable. And the movie itself, we just dove into the Lovecraft lore and started swimming in the cosmic pools and created something of a unique kind of ride in this film world. So for you horror lovers, you'll like it, and for your Lovecraft fans, I think you'll love it too.
Well, yeah, I am a Lovecraftian person. So this was one that when I saw what it was about and saw the poster, I was like, okay, I think we can get into this. But I noticed there's a little bit of a mashup in it. So I want to
Mhm.
ask you, what was your inspiration for this particular telling of a Cthulhian mythos?
Well, I think with Matt and I both, I've said this previously on, for this question, there was a lot of real life, I think, trauma that Matt and I were going through when we started this process. And there's no better vessel in my mind than cosmic horror to kind of, have your own therapy by making a movie and, expelling all of your trauma onto screen in some way, fashion, or form. And Matt and I really channeled that and were able to do that. So I think that was the inception for going in the Lovecraft direction. And in specific, the demon is actually short for the demon sultan. And if you are a Lovecraft fan, then you know that's a nickname for the blind idiot god, and so on and so forth. I won't ruin it for people that aren't in it, so I won't go too deep into that, but it is in reference to a very specific god. Um, and we really love the idea of blending dreams and reality. And that kind of gave us some freedom to kind of go down that road with that specific god, a sleeping god, let's say. And yeah, that's
The
that was it.
the
Yeah,
infector of dreams in the dream world.
that's it.
Yep.
And it just opened up a huge, way for us to kind of go after it and put some really unique spins on, let's say, common tropes. And you talked about blending a little bit there. It's like Matt and I, from the inception on, we wanted to do something that hadn't quite been done before. I think we've seen a lot of different versions of Lovecraft. There's kind of like what I would call the low hanging fruit, where people just throw tentacles in it and they call it Lovecraft. And then there's more the psychological kind of weirdness where everything doesn't make sense quietly. And we really wanted to blend those two together, but also make you, the audience, to play with formula quite a bit. So to kind of get you in a comfortable, oh, this is a cabin in the woods movie, and then just left turn it, and you're like, no, we've had you. So once you got down those stairs, we have you in the pressure cooker, and we're just going to start twisting that cosmic,
So I'm
forces.
gonna, since you brought up the stairs, I'm gonna bring up that right now. What
Yeah,
a great symbol. When
yeah,
he descends in that first scene, I went right into madness.
yeah. That's
And it
it.
was like, okay, and for us Lovecraftians, yeah. And I can definitely get in that. I don't know if you knew this or not, but last year at FanX, I led a panel on H.P. Lovecraft's impact on modern horror.
Oh wow,
And we had Jonathan Michael of FilmQuest as part of our panel.
that's great. That's
So yeah.
wonderful. No, speaking of that, we were the opening night film at HP Lovecraft Film Festival just two
All
weeks ago,
right.
and that was a riot. Because if you ever make a movie specifically for a micro audience, and then you have 400 of them in the audience, it was no better feeling than to have people that get it, and it
Yeah.
was really quite amazing. What a
Especially
great
when you
event.
can hit those little notes like you're saying, something so far out there that it's got to be the true fans that go, oh, I know
Yeah,
where this is hitting.
yeah,
Yeah. So
maybe. Yeah,
no, it did.
maybe. And are they going to show it? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
Can't.
trust me, the fans of this sort of stuff will show when you give them the opportunity.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so kind of another mashup I noticed. You chose, Lovecraft had this big thing about the water, but it was always the ocean.
Yep.
You chose a lake.
Yeah.
Was there a particular reason?
Um, Yeah, I would give you about 10, but I would say the top two, practicality. We had access to that cabin, Tyler Q. Rosen, who's the lead actor, Tom, and also one of our top producers and production designers, so on and so forth. He was part of the original trio. Then when we put this thing together, and he's like, "Hey, I have this house on the lake," and he's a big Michigander, and he loves Lake Michigan. Um, but it wasn't until Matt and I saw it, and we were writing this, that we thought, what better way to have some ambiguity of a lake that plays like an ocean? So this lake is as big as an ocean. It's what it looks like. You can't see. So it became that big, and not to get all directory and writery, and you know this, but it's just the idea of, when you're playing with those themes of, perception, scope, grandness, scale, and you're talking about, little problems compared to the universe and how small we are compared to those things. There's this kind of leaps that we kind of go to where we start the film very small and very tight, and the problems seem very, petty and, mundane, and just, oh, I'm not loved enough, or I'm not doing well at work, and it starts here, but then we expand those as well. So everything starts to expand, and so we needed something that would be a small body of water, but also a bigger body of water, and then obviously we go down, and I won't reveal like an ending, but
Yeah.
we needed some growth, and that was the perfect level. If you start in the ocean, there's really no other place to go except for up. So we had that scale of like lake. Oh, this is a big lake. Oh, wow, it's a massive lake, and then it's the size of an ocean. So yeah.
Because I'm not sure, maybe you're not familiar with it, but the cryptozoology aspects of the Lake Michigan monster.
Oh
So,
yeah. We
so I
we we
thought,
dove down that rabbit hole for we had some things in there early in the script. It's funny you brought that up. We had, so yeah, like we had there's like the Stonehenge, that's underneath Lake Michigan, their version of it. We went through all that, and we ended up cutting a lot of it out. We didn't want to kind of muddy the water. We found there was like this real fine line between good confusion and bad confusion, and you throw too much stuff at them, it's hard to kind of follow those trails. So we knew we were already in a land of, a gray area that we didn't want to go too far into, make it too sloppy. So yeah, too
no,
messy.
no, I totally understand that. I just thought it was because I've seen a few other mashups that people have done with cryptozoological creatures and Cthulhu. Uh,
Yeah.
just because, that's, well, like I said, it's my mainstay. I'm reviewing a book right now of cosmic horror, and it's from a person I know that does a lot of cosmic horror. And their lead story, "You Should Not Be Here," it is a Cthulhian telling of what's happened in the land of Oz after everything happened in the other stories.
Oh, that's wonderful. See, I love
And
stuff like that.
talk about going into the like the obscure. It deals with the King in Yellow. So
Okay. All right. Hey. I mean, it's true. We've seen so much content now. It's hard to. It's not hard, but you got to do your homework to bring something new to the table. And so
mhm.
sometimes you got to mix things that haven't been mixed before, and ideas that haven't been mixed before. And it's tough when you're trying to break through on that level, and especially in filmmaking and in writing. It's the same. You being a writer, if you're gonna mix genres or mix kind of stories that haven't been told before, there's excitement there. There's also a huge amount of danger. I think when you're, maybe doing too much, so this was a balance for sure.
So you guys had co-directors, but one of the things you got nominated for at the festival was for your ensemble cast. So
Yeah.
tell me, it seems like they did a great job in the way they just melded together as their characters. So what were you guys doing to kind of help that along, or is it something that they just kind of fell into?
I think it's just a complete, it's hard to micro down on one thing because they're fantastic. They've done great work prior, they do great work after. So they have the means to be great themselves. But I think when it comes to any bit of filmmaking, if you don't look at all the aspects of performance, and that's, from editing to cinematography to music to sound design to sound dialogue to sound, dialogue editing to, even on the bottom of that, direction, from what Matt and I are just kind of steering the tone. We can give notes, but it's just like being a coach. You don't make the plays, and they got to go make the plays. So in our end, we had a really awesome team out there being able to do that. And those, it's the amalgamation of its parts. So their performances start with them. They've got to do so much, but you can be a great running back or a great quarterback, but if you don't have an offensive line to block for you, you're not going to get a pass off. So that's where music and cinematography and editing and everything come into play to kind of balance out that performance. So um, I just have a huge amount of respect for the whole process, to even myself. It's like, I think we use the terms we and our way more than I and me and my, so it's a huge collective undertaking, but they deserve it because they, like I said, they were great, and the support around them was great. So
And you were saying you're just now starting your festival run with this. This will be your third showing, or you've done three so far, somewhere right in
yeah,
there.
we just we world premiered it at Fright Fest in London, which was just an amazing experience. Sold out crowd, in Leicester Square, 400 people. So it was pretty, yeah, dream worthy. And then follow that up with the opening night film at HP Lovecraft in Portland at a 100-year-old theater in front of 400 people, sold out as well. And that was real gift to play in front of fans of the genre. If you're making a micro genre movie about, and we tried to cross over, don't get us wrong. If horror fans, I think the crossover's there. They're going to like parts of this, and they're really going to love like that third act. And I'll just kind of let them know that you're going to love the third act if you're into horror, and if you're into, gore, and you're into kind of like just everything else, but I think the Lovecraft fans would go on that slow burn ride, build up that kind of madness, and then when we turn on the faucet per se, it just flows like a fire hose. And then we played in Vancouver at Vancouver Horror Show this last weekend, and they're so just wonderfully nice up there, and it was a great festival. David Taylor and Megan, who run it, are just, yeah, they're just great people, and we had a great screening there, and then we're on to Nightmare at the Ozarks this Friday, October 25th, I believe, and then Horror House on Saturday, October 26th. So we're flying the very next day, and then then it's Film Quest, the following week on Halloween. So
it sounds like you're getting a pretty good acceptance at the festival, so
yeah,
people can probably find it at a festival for a while yet.
oh yeah, we have like 5 or 6 more. We play in Denmark in November at Bloody Weekend, which is like Copenhagen's biggest genre fest there, which is going to be a real treat. And then December, New York City Horror, early December, I think, first weekend. So yeah, we've got a good run going, and it's nice to be on this side of it, but more importantly, it's really nice to find an audience, and the audience has like found us, and that's just like, I've never felt that kind of connection before. Because when people love it, they love it. I mean, if this is your type of movie, if you like the little bit of the weird, out of the box, maybe a little bit more open ended, you got to put some things in there. But it's just a unique ride. Matt and I really strived as writers and directors to bring something new to the table, just to do something a little bit different that you haven't seen before. And in Lovecraft, we've kind of seen a lot of the gods. We kind of have an idea of what Cthulhu may look like, or even Azathoth. I'm just mentioning names. I'm not saying anything. I'm just mentioning names. But we have an idea maybe, or we've seen these like, illustrations. So to put a form to something that has supposed to have no form, or the unnameable and the unspeakable and the unfathomable, and then actually to put images to that and names to it, it's really tough. If you're going to do it, you're already going to kind of already knock it down, I feel, in some kind of level. So you have to bring something new to the table. And that was like our goal, was like, no matter what, we got to do something unique. Yeah.
And that is actually one of the fun things about the Cthulhu mythos, is it has been morphing over the years. So if you want to do something new, you can do that and kind of bring something new to the table and twist it in. So that's a fun thing that way. So if you've given this type of acceptance so far, have you had any bites yet on distribution for afterwards?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that was also, like I say, these are good problems to have, but yeah, after the first festival, even before the first festival, it started happening. I think the buzz and was really was great, and a little bit overwhelming at some points, because it's a new ride for us. You're exhausted after you make a film because you put everything into it. At least Matt and I did, and the whole team did. We really sacrificed years to do this. And this is the amalgamation of our dream, the 12-year-old filmmaker inside with movie posters on his wall going, one day you're going to, so we're there, right? And we're trying to enjoy those steps and these little victories, and celebrate it with friends, and the family and the people who helped us get here. And the moment you finally get to that theater, it's like, no, you're just starting. You better fill that gas tank back up real quick, because not just the festival run, but there's going to be a lot of people coming at you, and there's a lot of great advice. Thank God there's good people out there. Like Alan Jones at Fright Fest was a huge champion for us. So we were there because of him, and he, really, really just gave sound advice and was a true help and put us in good hands immediately for some distro and sales. And then those led to other things. And now we just are getting kind of this overwhelming response. And now we're in the middle of this kind of like trying to choose the right partner. I think people think it's just this magical thing that happens, but there's a lot of who do you want to be in bed with for the next 3 years or 10 years or 5 years? And you really got to think, is this the right match? Do I want to be with this person? And do they kind of see it the way we do? And then also very much, kind of manage your expectations, know what your child is in this world. We know our kid isn't, Michael Jordan or, or this, but it's good enough to play on a team, and we know that. So I think knowing your worth, knowing your place is very, very helpful,
So yeah, it's good to kind of hear that. So now we've talked about your film, what it's been doing, where it came from, where it's possibly going. Let's talk about yourself. Okay, you mentioned, some of the movie posters on the wall as a kid. So
Oh, yeah.
what was your inspiration or inspirations to become a filmmaker?
You know, I I want to know that too. I think when you find the answer, let me know. I don't know. I think it was just this long, it's something that every time I would watch something, I think when I noticed it, when I was remembering credits for some reason, I would remember who produced something, or I would remember, oh yeah, Gail Ann Hurd did that movie as well as that movie, and I would just remember these things, and no one else would. Like, how do you know that? And this is pre IMDb. This is going to date me pretty well here, but this is before we had access to just something immediately, and I was just retaining things that I thought were superfluous or other people did, but I just loved everything about that movie magic, and it wasn't the celebrity side of it. It wasn't like, oh, this is where you're going to go to be famous. I loved the idea of Spielberg and John Carpenter and these, just the magic behind these filmmakers and like what they were doing and these storytellers. I never really grasped the whole like you're going to be an artist one day and then go that route. It seemed like I just had this infatuation with movies. And I happened to grow up in the desert about 60 miles north of Los Angeles. So it was where all of these films were coming to shoot their, let's say fake Mexico or fake this scenes. And they would go and take like Terminator 2 and From Dusk Till Dawn and Lethal Weapon 3. And a particular moment in my life, I used to sneak on sets. I'll just be honest, so don't hate me, but I used to, I'd see the lights at night. I'd drive out there and kind of act like I was part of something. And if you have some kind of confidence, they'll just let you walk in most of the time because they think you're part of the set. And I would just watch in awe. And it was just that taste of it was like, and also growing up, in a small town with, I was just that dreamer kid, so favorite movie was The Last Starfighter for a reason, not because it was the bad Star Wars, because it was about a kid that was from a nowhere town, and had to take a chance on something to get out, to be something. And it was just hugely impactful for me when I was like 10 years old, or 12 years old, something like that. So I just remember there was a line from Centauri in the movie when Alex Rogan refuses to go to war, and he's walking through this like field, and after the car breaks down, and Centauri throws him this little pocket crystal to remind him, hey, call me if you change your mind. And he goes, no, I can't. I don't need this. I don't need a gift. Here, throw it back. I'm just a kid from a trailer park. And Centauri looks at him and says, if that's what you think, then that's all you'll ever be. And for a guy that grew up kind of with nothing and no help, and there was no industry people in my family, there was nothing like that. There's a huge, huge resonating, just truth to that. It's like what you think is what you are. And as a young kid, I was just like, I didn't really know what that meant, but I felt it more than anything. And it was like, hey, if you believe you can do it, you're going to go do it. If you believe you can't, you won't. And that's just the really facts of the laws of nature type thing. So that was huge. And the biggest turning point for me was when I was 16 and I snuck on the set of Lethal Weapon 3 through a friend that helped me get in. And I was walking around and I saw Mel Gibson and Richard Donner at the time. and I was just in shock, and I didn't know how to approach these guys, and I just wanted to say hi. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really know why I was there. I just, there was this excitement of seeing these guys that you saw on TV. And right when I was walking up behind Mel Gibson, he turned around and he went to spit because he didn't know I was there, and he spit on the ground, and he saw it was close to me, and I was like kind of creeping up, and he goes, "Oh, sorry," and I was like, "Oh, that's okay." And then they kind of both looked at me weirdly, and then turned back around like, "Why was I there?" And then I just walked away in shame, like with my tail between my legs, like, "Oh, this is awful. This is the worst thing ever." And as I was walking back, I'm looking in all these Star Wagons, and there was this empty one with an exercise bike, a little tiny like love seat couch, and then this table with a like a sticky pad with a pencil. And inside there was this man riding on the bike. And I pulled my head back out, realizing, oh shoot, there's someone in there. I shouldn't be in there. And the voice says, "No, no, come on in." And I said, "No, no, I'm okay." And then he goes, "No, no, come on in. It's okay." And I walk in, and it's Danny Glover. And Danny Glover gets off this exercise bike, and I'll never forget it. And he goes like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, my name's Dave." And he shakes my hand, and his hand is massive. And I'm just like, here's this, he's just this big man. And he's just, says, "Well, what do you need?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just here with a friend." And, we got on set. I'm just here to watch and learn. And he's like, "Oh, sit down." And for 45 minutes, Danny Glover talked to me about acting, about mastering the craft, about being a good person, about what work ethic is like. And I was just this sponge of like, holy shit, I needed this more in my life at that moment at 16, not knowing which direction I was going to go. A lot of my friends were going the kind of, unfortunate Breaking Bad route, and there's a lot of drugs in the desert, and there's a lot of problems. And this man has no idea what he did for me at that moment. He just instilled in me this, you know, to go for it and to be a good person at doing it. And it couldn't have come at a better time. So at the end of this 45 minutes, I know no one's going to believe this. So I asked him for a an autograph, and he looked at that sticky note pad and that pencil on the table, and he goes, "Dave, I'll do you one better. Just write your name and address down, and I'll send you one." I was like, "Oh, great." So like 3 4 months go by and nothing. And I was so bummed out, and I totally forgot about it. And one day I'm coming home from high school, and then there's this big manila envelope on the front door. And I was like, "Oh," and I walk up, and there's this big sticker that says Lethal Weapon 3. And I just like, my heart sank. I was like, "Oh my God, this is it." And I opened it up, and it was like the sides for that day that I was on with notes that he wrote about what he was doing in the certain scenes. There was a press release that he put in there, and then there was a headshot, and it said, "Dave, we make our lives by what we give, Danny." And I was just like, I have that still in my house on the wall, and I've lived kind of by that since then. And that just was like my kind of, in a weird way, my introduction to the film world by someone extremely kind who hadn't been, gut kicked by the bad industry that we unfortunately see a lot of people on. It was this generous person who gave 45 minutes of his time and inspired me to do, here I am as a grown man. So yeah, that was a very long-winded version of that, but it needed to get out on the world. It needs to be in the ether, because he's forever be good to people. You never know who you're going to influence.
Yeah, that's
Or
a
inspire.
powerful story. Powerful story. That's really that's nice to hear something of that nature. That's what got you into it. But
Yeah.
now for the nether level, it seems like you do a lot of horror. We've talked about Lovecraftian horror. So what do you have is the draw of horror, and even a draw of Lovecraft for you?
Well, I think in horror in general, I think they're extremely therapeutic to watch, and they're also extremely therapeutic to make. So if you have, lost family members, or you have gone through some kind of trauma, or you're dealing with something in life, I think there's no better vessel than horror. I mean, yeah, laughter is great medicine, but for some reason, I think the horror genre allows you to really kind of, in a great cathartic way, just expel all of your trauma, or at least get it out. It's like the best therapist you could have. Specifically, Lovecraft, that just gives you freedom as a filmmaker to kind of do, to have no rules in some ways. There's obviously rules to Lovecraft, there's rules to cosmic horror, but it's so much more flexible and artistically interpretive than it would be just to walk around with a knife and kill people. There's layers to Lovecraft. There's themes in Lovecraft, multiple. If it only had one note, we wouldn't just do it. It had to have multiple meanings for us. It had to be connected in multiple ways. for it to be a richer, more of a fuller experience, I think, for us to kind of a deeper experience. So a timeless experience, hopefully. If you can watch it maybe after you lose a family member, it may hit you differently. Or maybe you're dealing with addiction problems, this film will hit you differently. Maybe if you're lost in the scope of this world and feel like you're nothing, this film will hit differently. And it has all those layers in there, and they're all weaved through, and they're all very genuine. So as much as we would do kind of fun horror tropes and play them, as one-dimensional characters, there was always this underlining theme and storylines that were making it very much deeper. So the reason the third act works so well, I think, in this film is that you go on a ride for the first two, and by that time we actually kind of know a little bit more about these people, these flawed characters that have good and bad traits, and they feel very relatable. And for me, they were all little bits of pizzas of me, you know. So yeah, that's why I chose horror, and that's why we choose Lovecraft.
Good stuff there. So looking kind of forward, we've talked about your film, but what about Dave Yohe? What do you have in the works that we might be able to look forward to?
I think, the good thing is, for me personally, I had, and I'm going to lump Matt with this because he's not here, but Matt and I were, fully capable of making films on our own, and we did really well with our shorts. And I think the best thing that's happened to me in a really long time personally was just Matt and I working together, as co-directors, and realizing the strength in that. And you kill like the filmmaker ego of like, I need to make this a singular vision. You can still have a singular vision, but imagine having two of you to do it, and how much more energy that is, and how much more balance and trust and wonderfulness. So for me personally, I think Matt was the biggest gift, and kind of like, epiphany we both had, that was like, yeah, this is a tremendous way to move forward as artists. It's a tremendous way to, be friends. And also personally, this is just, it's such an additive to career minded goals, and also just life goals and friendships. And so, yeah, I think what we're going to do together, I think, is what's exciting, like what's next. And we have a good couple things in the holster once this thing goes and hopefully pops and people enjoy it, and and help the independent filmmakers out, and share the love. We can go on and do another one, and bring another story that we're, and to add that to, personally, every film I've ever made has always been like a time capsule for me. So every short film, everything I've been in touch with, I can look back and know exactly where I was when I made that. I'm like, oh, that's when I was, just escaping, where, that's when I was young and I did this. And, oh, this is when I, broke up with so-and-so. And this is, this is when my father passed away. I mean, you just know these moments in time, and those films reflect it. And I can see it very easily. Like, so you talk about horror, it's like, it kind of reflects my life a little bit. There's been a lot of bad run for the last 15 years. So
I just kind of laugh at that because I, work with a lot of different authors, and it's so many of them say the same thing, is like each one of their stories, be it a novel or a short, reflects something in their life at that time. And
yeah.
you're saying the same thing. And it's like, oh yeah. It's like one person, he wrote it's really a dark, dark horror, but he was going through a time where he had four different couple friends that were all going through divorces.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
just his whole world around him was falling apart. And so he's kind of that
Well, and I
same.
love fantasy. I mean, the first film I did was very Spielberg-esque, and it was, probably too much emulating, just because I, love the genre and what he's done. And then, the next film was maybe a little more John Carpenter. I mean, it just kind of, I could see where my mind was going, and I never kind of want to get totally pegged in something. I really want to be able to have the flexibility. Well, you got to prove you can do it. And obviously the last film I did was more sci-fi based, maybe sci-fi horror, but that whole idea of, really taking a unique spin on an alien invasion,
Yeah.
um, easier said than done. But I think, that short was a great, pitch for an idea that, we want to kind of move forward with. But we have bigger, better stories. But yeah, this movie specifically came after, I lost my sister to COVID, or during that time in 2020. And yeah, there was just nothing fun about going and thinking you're going to make some kids film or something fun. So playing filmmaker when you see people just crumbling around you was like the last thing on my mind. So the movie reflects this kind of, not so much doom and gloom, but just the idea that, we worry about these things, and then at the end we're all going to be gone, and measured against this vastness of the universe, doesn't really matter. Everything mattering and not matter at the same time. It's like, they're not exclusive. And Yeah, and just hope and nihilism colliding, and it felt like daily. That's what it felt like for me. So all of it's expressed there, but as you know, you've seen the film. It's not in there. It's not that. It's not the story, but the feelings and the themes and the subtext is there for sure.
Definitely, definitely it is. So when you're trying to relax, kind of getting away from the film or some of this other, what do you like to do?
Video games, so I can yell at 12-year-olds that are beating me at something. It's always fun. Sports, dogs, family. I made the big move to Oklahoma, and I have a great family here. So I was in California, born and raised, and love it to death. But time came to kind of move in with some family and take care of some people, and I didn't realize at the same time it would help take care of me too. So to answer that question, I think getting out here and getting a little bit slowed down helped me during the process to make this movie, and gave me a little bit more of a stress relief and me time to have just easy all the time, and good people and good moral compasses, and just a real nice, real great support network, some amazing family out here and friends. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. So then another one for you, that is if you had someone come to you and say, "Hey, I want to become a filmmaker," what advice would you give them?
Um, to to go do it, to go make it. Yeah, I think too many people tell you that they're kind of like horrible story, or run away, don't make films. You don't want to be in this business. And I had people tell me that at the very beginning, and nothing deterred me. Like I still here, and I'm in the die trying phase, as a good friend once said. He's like, you getting this, getting up in age, you're in the die trying phase. It's like it's never going to stop. I think it's something that's in you. The best way to do it is to test yourself. Start small, go work on a music video, or friends, make a short film, watch videos, talk to people, and build your film family, I guess, in a good way. But I would support it 1000%, even during this dynamic change in the business right now. I think as an artist, if you have any desire to make a movie, there's something in you that means you want to tell something, you want to do something. So I'd say look at what you want to do, and just go do it. And if you find yourself at 4 in the morning after being up for 20 hours straight, smiling still because you're loving it, it's meant for you. If you come out of that, completely scarred, going, I never want to do this again, then it's not for you. But you'll never know until you jump in. So I would say just go make something.
Okay. As we're wrapping up, any final call outs you would like to do or anything else you'd like to share? I mean, you've mentioned the director and your cast and crew.
Just gratitude, I think, for, yeah, I mean, just gratitude for everyone involved. There's just a huge long list, and it doesn't happen without them. It doesn't happen without the support over the years from family. I mean, really, it's just gratitude all around. But I mean, a specific one would be film festivals. I think without them, guys like Matt and Tyler and all of our casting crew involved in this, it was a dream for us to go out and do this. It took everything, and it took this many years to get to this point. But without film festivals, we wouldn't have a place to show it. We would be out trying to beg some distributor to watch it and maybe then get it out. There is this barrier that guys at our level, we're not picked up by studios, we're not repped, we don't have backing. So everything we did was from the ground up and from the floor up, and it just blood, sweat, and tears. And we sold the farm to make it happen. But festivals are giving us visibility. And so these people that, regardless of intentions, and if it's they make money or they're nonprofit, it doesn't matter. If 99% of the ones that we've been to are great people. So back to Fright Fest and HP, Lovecraft in Portland, and Vancouver Horror Show, Film Quest, Nightmare in the Ozarks. It's even their first year in Arkansas at Eureka Springs, and they are so on it and amazing and communicative, and they're giving us a platform to show our film to an audience. And the more that happens, the more chances we have of making another one. So I just express gratitude that everyone goes on and says, hey, this movie was great, I gave it an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. I mean, everything that anyone can do to share, um, and support indie filmmaking, I just gratitude. So festivals, the people that support the festivals, and that's not just me saying it because we're going to Film Quest or anywhere else. I mean, this does matter. I love Jonathan, love Jonna, but they matter and everyone matters. And it's like everyone thinks they're owed something because you made something. You're not. We'd all be sitting in our houses showing our moms our movie if we didn't have film festivals. So, have a little gratitude and a little humility and just say thanks and then be happy. That's it.
I just realized I should have set something out knowing what the film was about. Here we go.
Oh, fantastic. It almost looks like it, I mean, I'm not saying there's one in the movie. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Maybe if there was, it kind of
That's
resembles it.
that's the Cthulhu pop.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, that was given
Well,
to me.
I can say this, that Cthulhu's not in our movie. So I can say that with very an easy way that he's not in our movie.
Which is, yeah, it's a lot of fun seeing some of the others that people might not recognize immediately. And,
Yeah.
especially when you
Yeah.
tell them, oh, that's Amigo or that's a Shabalet. And they're going, what?
I know. I know. And I know this would carry on for another 10 minutes, but that was one thing Matt and I wanted to be very careful of, is to balance the audiences, like be true to our the lore, be true to our fans and the genre that we're playing in, because we know you can't cross too many lines there, or if you do it too cheap, you're not, it's not going to come out. But everyone isn't a Lovecraft fan. And if you're going to go that micro, make sure you balance it a little bit out. So we tried to
Yes.
open it up a little bit more as a horror, you know, uh, and then still deliver on that end. So,
Yeah.
that's where we hopefully did all right,
There's still very solid story that is not Lovecraftian. It
Yeah.
uses the descent into madness and some of the other themes that he, really dove into. But you
Yeah.
do have it as a modern setting where, like you said, I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
And with that, I would recommend people, yeah, get out to the independent film festivals. You got a good run coming up.
Yeah.
This is definitely a movie that should be seen on a big screen if possible. There's a lot of that cinematography stuff. I'm good with words. I'm a
Yeah.
writer. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Edit, delete. Oh, shoot, I can't.
but it's like here we were talking about the aspects of the way it plays out with the water line and going down the shoreline. And there's a few things that I thought was just really well done that I think people will very much enjoy. And I agree with you. Get out there and support the independent creators, be it in
Yeah.
film, be it other arts, be it in the book industry. There are some amazing works out there. That that's the reason why I do what I do, because I just have so much fun meeting people like yourself. So
Same, Dan. Yeah.
are you going to have a chance to be out at Film Quest at all?
I will be. Yeah. I'll be out there from Tuesday evening all the way through the rest. So the second half. So we play
Okay.
on Halloween. So we are the Halloween movie there. So it'll be fun. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So I
be a
will
good
see you
time.
there. That gives
Yes.
everybody else a chance to understand where you could possibly come and meet you and talk about your film and your career and
I'll be
some
there.
amazing things that you've had happen in your past. Great to hear it.
Yeah.
So with
Thank
that,
you,
I'm going
Dan.
to thank everybody for joining. If you like what we're doing here, please like, share. You can subscribe if you want to. All that just helps us help the independents do more, get more, achieve more. Thank you, Dave, for being with us.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Talk to everyone soon.